All right, guys, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to do a foil highlight touch-up with a few tricks and tips for doing really tight foils and then brightening up the ends without bringing them through the foils with that extra damage that we don't want to see. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram so you guys can connect and see what I am doing in the salon on the daily. So I'm going to be using Alagio, still don't know how to pronounce this, Extra Blonde with a little bit of Formula 18 for my actual lightener. If you guys want to know what I'm using, I will put it in the description box below for all of you to see. So as you guys see here, I have my assistant helping me out in this nape area of the hair. I have my amazing Firmar foils that are going to make it a little bit easier. And as you guys can see, I'm putting this about an inch away from the actual hairline of the hair. Now, because she has such thick hair, we're wanting to do a lighter feathered look to the back of her hairline because I want this to be very soft with no harsh lines. So that was just kind of to ease you guys into this, okay? In her hair, I'm going to be doing about baby stitch to medium stitches, and I'm going to be taking anywhere from like 1/8 to 1/4 size sections so that I can really get into her hair, because in the back it is very dark, and anytime that you are already adding in lighter color to darker hair, it's really important that you take softer, finer sections so that you can get more foils in to get more color so you don't have that streaky, harsh contrast. So I have put all of the lightener through the ends because in the back, again, it's all very dark. And as you guys can see, I'm going to bring it up a little bit higher to the top part and start to turn my brush at a vertical so it's not making horizontal swipes, creating lines, but holding it at a vertical, making sure that my foils are nice and snug towards her head and sweeping that in. This is going to create a way softer, way more diffused look at the root so we don't get any harsh, weird lines in the back. And as you guys can see, I fold my foils up twice to make sure that it gets locked in really well, and using my comb, I like to fold in the sides. Now this might be going back to like beauty school 101, but I get a lot of questions on how to make sure that foils do not slip, and that is one of my favorite tricks ever, so that as you're sitting here, you're gonna do your stitch. I'm using baby stitches, baby lights, as I guess as we would say, or baby stitches to medium-sized stitches. And then I'm going to be applying my product away from the scalp, so the majority of the product is not going to come out of those foils, because we definitely do not want to see that. I think that is one of the biggest tricks. It's not to start at the top and then you start to swipe in your product and then it starts to get pulled down and you have all this stuff going on. I like to start a little bit further down and then work my way up to the top and do these really soft sweeping motions like you guys see here. This is what ensures for me a really, really good foil. Then I fold it up once and then lock it in twice so that this foil is not moving anywhere. Now, I'm not one of those people that folds the little flap behind. I make sure that my foils are nice and tight in the beginning. So I've done 2 sections using a diagonal back sectioning that you guys can see. Now once I get up to the top, I'm going to start doing horizontal sections to create that little triangle space. So again, I'm taking a nice baby light, making sure that right in this tiny little triangle beginning, I'm getting a good amount of hair so that it's not going to have this weird black hole in the back. Now as I move up higher, you're going to see I do not take the lightener all the way through her ends because she already has some blonde there. So readjusting my foil because the camera's in my way. Normally I'm doing this the other way, but it's okay. I can be ambidextrous for a second. You guys can see I'm getting this lightener way up towards her root. So it's basically going to look like it's growing out of her scalp. Then I'm doing a nice clean foil fold, and I'm not pushing really hard on that foil, because the harder that you push on the foil or squish the foil, you're going to be moving that product up towards the head. And we know that as lightener settles, it will swell a tiny bit. Even though this lightener really does not swell at all, it will still move a tiny bit because of the heat of the head, and it kind of gets a little bit softer. So make sure that you're not squishing the foils and squishing your lightener up. Also, if you guys see, when you're working by yourself solo without an assistant, it's really awesome to keep that foil comb in your hand, because as you guys saw, I just slid that foil in really nice and tight to her scalp, and using a comb other than using my hands just to put the foil in literally makes the biggest difference in my actual foils sitting right at her root area. And then I'm just going to fold these corners in to where they're nice and tight. Now, wait till you guys see the front of the hairline. I do very detailed hairlines because I want to make sure that when my clients pull their hair back, especially when they have a darker root, they're not going to see any lines or weird harsh places. So I'm going to take little tiny baby fine sections. I'm going to take most of that section, maybe take like 5 hairs out of it, use my comb. Did you guys see how I use that to slide it in? And then I'm kind of brushing that foil up to make sure that the crease in the foil is nice and crisp. That allows me to get that much closer to that root area, and then not overlapping it, only covering the hair that needs to be processed, because the rest of the ends can be brightened up when you're at the bowl. You don't have to put them in the foil because the foil and the heat is going to process way faster and should only be done when you have kind of those lighter ends with either a really low developer or at the bowl where you can kick it a little bit, like a level or two. So I'm going to continue taking diagonal back sections like so. I like to take very fine baby lights and then baby slices in the front. This is what gets me this key gorgeous front hairline that really makes that money pop in the front. I love, love, love using 2 types of stitches to really make a big impact in the front. It's super, super important to fold your foils in the front, in my opinion, so that they do not slip or move out, because people will go to like move a hair out of their face and they will hit that front foil and then it'll get lost and then it will underdevelop. So you guys can also see some people have different hairlines. So going in and doing detailed foil work can really make a big impact in keeping out dark holes when they pull their hair back. So I'll add in a few tiny foils where they need to go to ensure that the front hairline stays nice and bright. And I'm just going to continue to take this section all the way back. I have a mohawk section taken out on the top over where her hairline, where her part line is. So I like to foil the underneath parts first in this situation with how much hair she has. You guys can see I'm going to take it right up to that scalp line and get a very big impact of color here. And then I'm going to fold my foil up nice and tight and then fold in those edges. Doing foil work is so therapeutic to me, it's crazy. So now I'm gonna go in and finish off that top mohawk section, taking nice fine sections. You guys can really see her line of demarcation up here against her blonde that we've previously put in there. So her hair grows out pretty fast, and we need to really make sure that we're going in and doing enough highlights to where it's going to blend and disguise all of that area. Again, I like to kind of push that top foil down just a little bit so I can make sure that it's going to get even closer to that hairline, and then start to kind of just go over any of the dark pieces and then fold that up and put my ends to the side. Now, if you want, you can always take your ends, add a little bit of Olaplex Step 2 on those, or whatever you're wanting to do. You can add a conditioning mask, a treatment, if you want to double do those ends if they're feeling a little bit dry. So I'm going to do one more section on top to show you guys kind of what I like to do, making sure you're not taking too big of sections, because then that's going to create kind of like lift. It's going to be too big, too much hair in the foil, and then it's going to sit a little too far off the scalp and make it kind of look like that already needs to get done again. So putting it in with my comb, I'm going to pat it down nice and tight right here and apply my lightener. You guys, this lightener works really amazing. This is the Extra Blonde. I'm using about 30 volume with Ashley's hair. The reason why, I normally use 20 volume on clients, but Ashley's hair takes like, oh my gosh, forever to lift. So I go a little bit more powerful on her. That way I know that it's going to lift to a very, very, very blonde color. So know your clients, know their hair. You guys, this is the finished result. Look at how many foils. You can't even tell where her head is, what shape it is, until you see the front of her face. After it's done processing, I'm going to rinse out the back because the back is done and I want to make sure that we're keeping everything in a really good, healthy condition. So I rinsed that out first, waited for the front to process and the top to process, and then I'm going to take the foils out, and I want them to look like the inside of a banana peel. That is the perfect level 9/10, and we're going to get the best tone out of this. Now, Remember those ends that I was talking about that were kind of a little bit dark, a little bit, needed to be a little bit brighter? This is what I like to do at the bowl. I will comb out my clients and then section off the areas that need to be lightened up a little bit, and I will grab some of my lightener and developer and mix a tiny bit of shampoo in with it, and I like to bring this through the ends, and you guys can see I like to comb it through so it's nice and saturated. I don't have to worry about any ends that are kind of like left out. And then I'm going to take sections and see kind of where my highlights that I just did started and ended. So I want to go from where they ended, so where the brightest part is, I'm going to go down from that where it starts to get dark and rub this kind of little concoction in through the ends. And then I'm just going to lay them on the side of the bowl. You can put plastic wrap down if you need to, if someone's hair is shorter. But what this is going to do is it's going to be very gentle on the hair. I am not going in and using a foil or incubation or anything like that. It's also diluted out with a little bit of water. So this is going to be a very soft process, and I like to pop this on the ends from anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes just to add some brightness. I also like to take this through the ends of the bangs where they kind of have like a little bit of extra either toner or they're just not lifted to the level that we want, and we're just going to let this process, and you guys can see it lifts beautifully. So now we're going to do a little root smudge and a little toner on her ends. So I'm mixing up my root smudge, don't worry, it's in the description box down below, and her end toner. We're going to mix all that baby up and then start on the process. So for her root tap, I'm taking it about 1 inch in the back to a 1/2 inch in the front. I'm not going to go super in detail with this because this is I guess I could do a separate video on this if you guys want to. Just let me know in the comments below. So what I do is I allow this to sit for about 10 minutes, and then I really quickly just bring the toner all the way through the ends, the last 10 to 20 minutes, and then shampoo style and get her done. Look at how beautiful and bright this color is, and you guys can take note that in the back she has no more of that super heavy darkness underneath. It is blonde, baby, and this color, this like beigey gorgeous color, looks so good on Ashley. Her roots are super soft, super blended in, even though she's naturally very, very dark. I love how this looks on her, and I mean, hello, gorgeous. I love, love, love doing hair, and I love being able to share what I do behind the chair with you guys. So thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and come and follow me on Instagram. Say hello. Bye.